Did the department process any applications for citizenship by descent for people in Syria for this cohort or any other cohort recently?
So, Senator, I indicated before that I was reluctant to provide details that would identify private aspects of the cohort that arrived last month. I took the opportunity over the lunch break to check in with the AFP Commissioner, who confirmed with me that providing any details of the group could indeed prejudice any future investigation, and that she would appreciate those questions being answered by her. The reason this is germane is that the citizenship by descent clearly applies to children who were born outside Australia, so that starts to identify age groups.
It's been widely reported in the media that they are children. The Minister himself confirmed before in his answer that these are women and children, so I don't see how that's a valid reason for refusing to answer.
Senator, I can simply repeat what I said. I think any information which identifies the cohort, other than the broad answer I've given about there being 2 women and 4 children, is something that I would prefer to leave to the AFP so that they can make an assessment about the appropriateness of that detail.
But if I ask the AFP, did Home Affairs process any citizenship by descent applications, they will say that's a question for Home Affairs, won't they?
Point taken, Senator.
Okay, so I'm only asking questions germane to your department and your responsibility. Have any applications for citizenship by descent been processed for people in Syria?
So, Senator, the department has received applications and processed them consistent with our legislative requirements.
Great, thank you. How many?
Senator, in relation to the cohort that we're discussing, we processed 2 applications.
Okay, so it's been confirmed that there's 4 children, so there are only 2 applications for citizenship by descent. Does that mean that the other 2 children were Australian citizens already?
It does, Senator.
It does, okay. So if they were Australian citizens already, is that because they were born in Australia?
That would normally be the case, Senator.
Right. Or it could be the case that they'd previously applied for citizenship by descent overseas. Are you saying they did not apply for citizenship by descent overseas previously?
Senator, the only facts I know are that we processed 2 applications for citizenship by descent for this cohort.
Okay. Were the applications made online?
I don't have that detail, Senator.
Could they have been made in person? Would it have been possible to do it in person, given that they were in a Syrian IDP camp and then later in Lebanon?
Senator, I've not confirmed the location of the cohort post their departure from Syria, and I don't know the answer to the question about whether they could have been lodged in person.
Okay. Does Home Affairs have officials in Lebanon?
Yes, we do, Senator, but I'll ask my colleagues to correct me if I've got that wrong.
Thank you. We'll go with yes. Do those I assume those officials are based at the Australian Embassy?
Yes, Senator.
And do they manage citizenship by descent applications?
So, not necessarily, Senator. Again, the questions about citizenship and our the work of our IMI people on post belongs in outcome 2. I know why you're asking them here, and I'm attempting to be helpful.
I'm grateful.
We have a distributed processing network across the world, and so we process visas, for example, in different posts or in Australia, depending on workloads, etc. What I'd need to do is find out from the relevant officials how the processing of citizenship by descent happens, whether it's done at post or whether that's done elsewhere in the world or in Australia.
Okay, if you could, that'd be helpful. What identity verification is required to apply for citizenship by descent? Is it merely documentation, birth certificates or such things, which I imagine would be challenging in these circumstances, or are there DNA tests or other verification done?
Senator, I'm afraid we're going to have to do the detailed questions in outcome 2 when the officials with the details are here. That's not something I can know.
So you don't know in this case whether or not a DNA test or any other testing was done?
Senator, I don't. And I think the first question was more generic about what is the process.
Yes, that's why I'm asking in the particular, because you said that had to be asked in outcome 2. So in this particular case, you are not aware. Is anyone at the table aware? Ms Smythe, Mr Hansford? Ms Smythe, yes or no?
Sorry.
I can repeat it if you like.
Thank you, sorry.
That's quite all right. In this instance, do you know if the 2 people who applied for citizenship by descent had to undergo any sort of identity verification like DNA testing?
I would like to take that on notice to confirm, because there have been many conversations about a process as opposed to running a process. If I could take that on notice, but there were discussions around identity verification processes.
Yes.
DNA testing being one of those.
Yes, and that would have to be done in person by a Home Affairs official. We wouldn't outsource that to someone else, would we?
I'm not responsible for that function, unfortunately.
Right, but in your state of knowledge?
That's, I wouldn't want to answer that question, Senator. It's not an area of my responsibility.
I know, but it doesn't mean you don't know, because you said you've been party to discussions about it. So I'd like to know whether you were told in those discussions whether DNA testing was done.
That's what I want to take on notice, Senator, as to whether or not to confirm that was undertaken as opposed to it being an option available.
Understood. Okay, I accept that. I'll have to wait till outcome 2 to pursue this in further detail. But what can you tell me about whether any charges have been laid on any of these returned people?
So, Senator, that's absolutely an issue that would have to go to either to the AFP.
Right, so you don't know whether anyone has been charged?
Senator, as I've said several times, I'm not in a position to provide any information that could prejudice any future investigation or any current investigation.
Yes, I understand that. I don't want to put you in a position where you do that, but in pursuing this issue over several days now, there's been a lot of ask someone else, and to a degree that's appropriate. I'm not suggesting any one department is the famously suppository of all wisdom. I think repository is the correct terminology. But I'm a little bit... I don't want to find myself in a situation where the buck is passed to agencies until it can no longer be passed backwards, right? Because once you've appeared and you've gone, so you're telling me the AFP will be able to answer that question?
If they can answer it, they are the appropriate...
That does not fill me with confidence.
So, sorry, let me put that a different way, Senator. And I think we've demonstrated today that we have taken questions that are appropriately in the Home Affairs portfolio that were deferred to us yesterday. So the decision about whether or not that information can be revealed publicly is a decision for the AFP, and that's why I said if they are in a position to answer it, they will be the ones to answer that today.
Okay. To what extent is Home Affairs briefed through the CT coordinator or anyone else on the plan to monitor these people while they're in Australia?
So, Senator, at a broad level, the group of officials participate in the assessment around the need for such a plan, etc. My understanding is that the details of that plan are typically held within the law enforcement and security intelligence community.
Sure.
But I'll ask Ms.
As we discussed
Smythe.
before, Mr Hansford is the CT coordinator. So, Mr Hansford, are you aware of what the monitoring arrangements are?
No, Senator, and operational agencies will tell us when we need to know.
Right. So, Ms Smythe, are you aware what the operational arrangements are to monitor these people?
No, Mr Hansford has answered the question, Senator.
Right. So, shouldn't Home Affairs be aware of what the plan is to monitor this cohort? You've been involved in managing this process.
So, Senator...
There's sorry, you go.
Sorry, I'll let you
No,
finish.
please.
So, absolutely, we need to be involved in the way that we are through the mechanisms that Mr Hansford and Ms Smythe have articulated. But when it gets down to operational detail, I think that's rightly the province of the operational agencies who have the expertise to know what those plans should be. And I don't think there is a need for us to know exactly the detail of that, simply the fact that it is in place and that our security agencies have confidence in it.
Sure, but I mean, if I were in the minister's shoes, I would want to be able to satisfy that this was adequate and this was under control. And I might ask my department to give me that assurance. How could you provide that if you're not aware of it?
So, Senator, as we went through before, the relevant agencies are also in the minister's portfolio. He doesn't need that advice filtered through the department.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that, Senator Patterson. Senator Shoebridge.
Thanks, Chair.